All right, perfect timing. Is anyone here looking to introduce? Are you introducing? Okay, great.
Jeez.
Well, it is 10:15, and I'll pass it over to you. We're all
Okay.
ready. Here's the real Alice Taft, Linda.
Hi, Alice.
Hi, Linda. I don't know where I should be looking.
Oh, you can look out here. Linda will see you from the webcam, but here's the camera in the audience.
Wherever you are. I'm Alice Taft, jock, and I'm here to introduce Linda Wynne from Sealaska Heritage Institute Archives and Chelsea Will Geiger, also at Sealaska Heritage Institute. And they'll be speaking about the influence of the life work of Nora and Richard Dauenhauer. Good.
Thank you, Alice, for the introduction. I'll give it a try to introduce myself in Tlingit. Kach gach wuha yo ach du asach. Dachlawadi nach ach siti. Ki gushi hit yo du asach ha na ha di. Ganach de ti yati. Luch adi dachshkan. Kakwan Kwan Iwe Johan. Green Valley, Arizona, Ye Ach Yati. My Tlingit name was my grandmother's, Elsie Casco. And I am proud to have that name because she was known for her sewing, as well as a Salvation Army member. And as I just described, I'm from the Dachlawadi clan. And I was honored to submit my name for this project because I am the grandchild of the Luch'a'adi, which is Sakai, which is where Nora's from. And in the Tlingit way, she is my aunt. And I have known both of these wonderful people for over 30 years, 40 years. So it was appropriate for balance in Tlingit culture that me being on the eagle side and Nora being on the raven side, it was appropriate for me to do this project. And I just explained to you that my house is from Klakwan and it's the Kilauea Dosafin. I have my ancestors with me. This blanket was given to my late mother, Marty Casco. It was made by Ruth Casco, and it was presented to her at Edwin Casco's potlatch, which is my true uncle. And so my dear aunt She's from the Ganach Deity, Ruth Casco. She's here in spirit to support me. Excuse me. My Tlingit is limited, but I do try. And I know Dick and Nora are here in spirit because I felt them while I was processing their 40 years worth of prolific writing and their reading. And so I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I love this picture of them. Do you see it? Do you see the picture of them on their porch? What a happy couple. And I sure enjoyed their humor and their presence. And I miss them, but I know they're here in spirit. Oh, here we go. Have patience with the okay. Okay, I share my screen, but I'm not able to forward my slide. Oh, shoot. And I don't have a rope control either. Record. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Linda. Good to see everybody. Okay, let's try this again. Oops. All right.
We can see it now.
Okay, here we go. I found it. I found the button. Here's Nora. She lived and breathed our culture. And here she is picking berries, which she loved to do. And this quote came from one of the elders in the grant that was used to do this work. And it captured the Dauenhauers. They were very intelligent and they were scholars. Like I said before, they ate, sleep, and breathed the culture. They both taught a lot of people about the Tlingit culture, and it wasn't for money. They just wanted to share. One of the things that they enjoyed doing is that they were our cultural ambassadors. And here they are in their picture in their beautiful vests that shows their clans. And they did lectures, they did poetry, they even did slideshows on history of the Tlingit culture. They even did presentations on the ferry boats, the cruises, conferences, you name it. They have done it, and they did not hesitate of accepting within their schedule, which is usually pretty packed, but they made an effort to go and share our culture all over the world, not just Southeast Alaska. They've been to Germany, they've been to Spain, they've been many places. I could not begin. And not only was it the paper, but they had film, 3/4 inch film. They had videos, beta and VHS, and reel-to-reel audio. You name it, it was there. I love this picture of Nora. You can see the Dickens in her eyes. And this is a quick biography of her. She was born in Alaska in 1927, and she was raised traditionally within her family. And she did go to college in the 70s, what was called then the Alaska Methodist University. And that's where she met Richard, and they got married. She was married before, but she was available then. And then those years, 1983 and 1997, she was the principal researcher for, at that time, the Sea Alaska Heritage Foundation. And then from 1997 to 2017, she was semi-retired, but she was still busy volunteering in schools, a consultant. They were even helping grad students and even PhD students on their dissertations and their teaching. And she was busy right up to the end of her time, which she had died in September 25th, 2017. Here's this kind picture of Richard. I got to know him one-on-one, and he is a really funny fellow. He is very intelligent, but you felt very comfortable with him when you're around with him. And he was born in Syracuse, New York, and he was a professor at the Alaska Methodist University. As a matter of fact, his dissertation was on the Tlingit language, and that was quite interesting to read, which is available at the Sea Alaska Heritage Institute archives. He became the director of language and culture at SHI, which really is at that time SHF. Then he, collaboratively with Nora, they taught classes at the University of Alaska campuses. And so, and they trained many others too as well. And then he's a prolific writer, not only in Tlingit, but in German and Russian and other languages. And he was very involved in the Russian Orthodox Church. He died in August 19th, 2013. Here's Nora, a close-up picture with her smile. I'll give it a try to say her Tlingit name, Wynne. She is from the SOK clan in Haines. And as a matter of fact, that was my grandfather's clan, James Casco. So that's why there's this closeness of kinship, and why I felt so honored, because I was honoring my grandfather's people as well. In 2010, she became the Naha, which is a very high honor status position in the Luchadi clan. Richard, I'm not able to pronounce his name correctly, but I do know that he was adopted in the Chukanadi clan, which is Nora's father's clan. So it made sense that he would be adopted into that clan to carry on the tradition and culture. And he did work closely together. I like to say they complemented each other in the Tlingit language and the oral literature, and he made it his life work as well as Nora did. Like I said earlier, they were prolific authors. Not only there was a lot of handwritten notes, but they used the early computers, like you remember the old Apple? And there were a lot of printouts with a lot of edit notes. And Richard was the one that kept track of the files and what was which version. And his writing was really challenging to decipher, but you get the gist of it. And Nora's handwriting was just beautiful, the cursive handwriting that she had done. It was easy to read. And of course, they knew how to use a typewriter. That's what this slide shows. And then they fully understood how to use today's computers. So they evolved over time. And it didn't stop them from writing their essays, their papers, keynote addresses. They co-authored their books, journals, and they even wrote theater scripts for radio and film and documentaries. So their writing was very broad. And Nora dabbled into creative writing. It wasn't just academic or, how do you say, a livelihood, okay? She just enjoyed it. And when I went through her papers, there would be a piece of paper with a couple of lines of her poetry. She would make a comment, I'm taking a break and I'm going to write a few lines. And then with Richard, which I'll talk later, him too had a lot of notes. And that's how they came up with their published poetry, like The Droning Shaman. And my favorite is Life Woven with Song. I was attending at a conference at Haines Junction. And I met a librarian that used to be the head librarian for the Yukon College Library. She was researching for the codex of that map of place names and everything. And she wanted to find the poem that Nora had written about her father experiencing an earthquake at that time. I found it. And it was in her Life Woven with Song. And I was able to send it to the librarian. She was just tickled pink. So she added that to her archives. And the following are the Raven stories that became plays in believe it or not, I was really surprised at the Kennedy Center. I wasn't surprised at the Museum of American Indian, University of New Mexico, Fitzgerald Theater, and the Nalkahidi Theater. And so not only you can see her thoughts, her handwritten notes, and how it evolved into the final script. It's all there at the SHI archives. Now, Richard, on the other hand, he's the one that inspired Nora to write and support her and encourage her, even empower her. And he had these little pocket calendars, monthly calendars, and he was prolific writing notes, what's going on for the day and everything, and also his poetry, ideas. I can't remember the years right now, but all of their personal journals and these calendars and everything are indexed and they're in the archives. And here's an example of some of the published books on poetry. And I was so lucky to find his benchmarks, new and selected poems at a used bookstore. So I have that in my collection. So I'm excited to dive in it. And he did write a concerto. He loved classical music, especially piano. And so there was a lot of audio tapes and CDs that were given back to the family. And like I said before, his dissertation, here's the title of it, Text and Context of the Tlingit Oral Tradition. So if you're interested, that's available there. And then here's a couple of other papers. One I had used in my own writing when I was going to school at University of Arizona for my master's in library and information science, was Conflicting Visions in Alaskan Education. And it was touching how the Russian Orthodox had saved the language from that perspective and how they were influential in the education in Alaska in the earlier times, and how it was a conflict between Alaska Native culture and traditions versus Western. It was a small pamphlet, but it's worth the read. Here's a picture of him wearing his robes, like I mentioned earlier. He loved the Russian Orthodox, and he served as a lector and a chanter. He was prolific in writing for the church. He was also one of the officers, I believe, not only a secretary, but treasurer. And he had a wonderful voice. And so he did put together the choir and their programs. And I just don't know where he found the time to do the service, but he did, and he was well loved. I did attend his service that was held at the Catholic Church there in the Valley, and it was so neat to see the priests, both the Catholic and the Greek Orthodox, sending him off, which was a very beautiful ceremony. Nora was also into the church as well, from the woman's perspective. I enjoy seeing her writing about women, about our strengths of what we contribute to our traditions and culture. She supported the weaving in Haines and supported many people when they're learning our traditions like that in weaving. And of course, she loved her salmon. And when she and Richard travel on the Elthek River on a river trip, and then they finally landed in their first camp, and I found this in one of her diaries. She said, "Phew, I'm so glad that we're going to have dinner soon. Where's the Jack Daniels?" She loved a shot of Jack Daniels or have a glass of wine. So did Richard. And so very, very down to earth people. They really were. And it was so tremendous for her to go back to where her father's people were and her memories. And that's all there in their notes and in their journals. They were going to write about this trip, but they were focused on that last book on the Russians America. Below you see Hune, and that's Lance Twitchell. and she loved having fun and jokes and everything. And here she is with Wynne wearing masks. It's almost like where's the Lone Ranger type thing. And she would just have a good chuckle on that one. So that's the background of Richard and Nora Dauenhauer. Now, the next few slides, I'm going to share with you a little bit of the process that I was able to do with Emily Pastore, was my supervisor who helped me along. She's phenomenal. We're so lucky to have her. And then there's Kayla. And she's also a wonderful staff member for the archives. And John, he was the exhibitor. He put together the exhibits and everything. He also helped me with some ideas as well. So I didn't do this all alone, but it was a great process. And it was a unique too, because not only did they did a lot of research, even through Library of Congress all over the place, even across the world, and and the state, the cities. It was phenomenal, the research, and they prefer original manuscripts, and they even copied like George T. Emmons' notes for that big Tlingit Indians book. There's a whole copy of his handwritten notes in SHI archives. Can you believe that? Yeah. And that's one of many examples. Another one was De Laguna, Frederica, which they were very close. And same thing with her work. And another one that they were very, very close that helped them with the Russian American was Lydia Black. Was that right? I think that's right. Anyway, this one just gives you an example of that some of the papers were faded, yellow, ink. I'm glad everything was ink. There was a few mimeograph that was starting to fade, but I could still make interpretation of that. There was a few carbon copies and everything on tissue, on onion paper and skin, and those needed to be handled really special. Nothing was thrown away. Everything was kept within the guidance of SHI collection policy. This whole thing was supported by a $150,000 IMLS grant, which is a federal grant. And it took me 15 months to go through 300 boxes. And I ended up with 100 boxes and 2,000 folders of information that fulfilled the collection policy for SHI. The remainder of the boxes, which were published books, which SHI already had, a lot of boxes of Russian language, Finnish, Greek, German language. There was some personal stuff that should go back to the family. There were newspapers. They collect magazines. There was an awful lot of other works from other tribes. All of that was given back to the family. It was identified and given back to the family. So SHI was very fortunate, and I was able to get this project done within the time frame of this grant. Okay, so I had to go to the beginning and take off my librarian hat and put on my archive hat. And as some of you may know, I have worked for for Sea Alaska Corporation as a records manager, which is kind of a subcategory under archives. We like to keep each other separate, but we all handle material differently. Where in records management, I'm all about what needs to be kept temporarily and can be safely disposed per federal and state regulations, and what needs to be kept, like historical documents. And so that was my Bible, was the records retention schedule. However, in archives, it's different. And for SHI, the concern was to keep all of Southeast Alaska material. So I just defined what the provenance is and the creator of the collection rather than the donor. And so even though these were donated to SHI, I had to take a look at where were the Dauenhauers coming from, you know, where all this information had come from. And then when I'm going through the boxes, I index what I saw in the box. I did not sort like I wanted to from the records management hat. I index what I saw. And so in its original order. And so that's how it was done. And then the control. And this has to do with, I just explained the collection level, which is SHI collection policy. Then then with the help of the team, I forgot to mention about William Geiger, Jeff Lear, and Chuck Smythe. And then Emily and I made up the team, and we came up with categories, which is also called series. And so we came up with generalized common categories that I had used to index this information. Then whatever came in the folder, I would go through the documents in the folder to determine that the title of that folder fits with the content. We didn't go by item level because I would be there forever, but I did pay attention with that too when I'm reviewing that folder before I started to index it. Excuse me. So before I started all this, and even though I personally knew the Dauenhauers, I had at my fingertips their biate, their resume. I did a Google search, got myself a little bit more familiar about their background so I get a better idea of what I'm dealing with and watch out for. And I just explained to you in a couple of slides ago, using the policy to determine if there's any restrictions or any disposal. In this case, there was no disposals. I was to watch out for clan information and highlight that of whether or not that should be shared or not, because Nora did a lot of research about the Raven House, and there was a lot of legal documents and everything about that. The processing plan, I worked with the team and with Emily, and we came up with a spreadsheet for me to capture the metadata. And then after I did that, then I was able to upload it into their database, which is Proficio. And then I printed out a report and did a QC because I wanted to be sure my spelling and the accuracy, and checked it against the box. Another part of the processing was I did the rehousing. That means that I had used archival file folders. And when I hand labeled the folders with a pencil, no ink, no file labels with glue or anything, it was all done by hand. And then the boxes were changed out into archival boxes. It was a tedious process, but I'm proud to say I was able to get it done in 15 months. And so the methodology, more product, less processing, that's the methodology that I was familiar with. And so that helped with knowing the series and how I'm going to index and everything, and how I was able to get it through this project. And it is searchable in the database for SHI. And like I shared, these were acid-free, and also, knock on wood, I didn't come across any insects or mouse poo-poo or rat's nests or anything, and that was kind of cool. There were a lot of photographs. I was able to insert some of the loose stuff into archival sleeves. And then it was a long discussion, but I was able to convince Emily and the team for me to sort out the various multimedia, like the videos, VHS, beta, audio, reel-to-reel, CDs and DVDs for future digital conversion. So they would know the volume. So when they wrote out the grant, they know exactly what they had. And I had enough time to index all of this after I finished the folders. There were 28 boxes of multimedia that's pending for digital conversion. We did identify through when we met monthly, the team, to review the questions. I had questions, I wasn't sure what category to use. So as a team, we worked together. And then based on that, then we went through this whole list and figure out which files need to be digitally converted. And so there were files, papers that were identified, like keynote addresses, things that weren't published in journals and everything. And maybe there was some published in journals, but some of them were published in Germany and stuff like that. We ended up with 3 solid archival boxes, and they were shipped to the state. That was one of the deals to in the grant to do, and those are completed. Am I getting up to the time, Alice? Okay. Okay, so in my spreadsheet, I had the box number, and I had the file number, and then the item number, and then I had the title of the file folder. I had the dates, and then a short brief description of the content of the file. So another part of the grant that I had done was putting together the finding aid. And it's a rather lengthy biographical sketch in their database, but it's complete. And then then you will see the boxes, and the boxes have been summarized. So when you click on the box, it will bring up what's inside of the box with the descriptions of the file. Everything is searchable. So you hopefully you will be able to find what it is we're looking for in this collection. I take pride in this because in my previous jobs, I used to be an engineer on telecommunications. So you had to learn how to write short, sweet, concise, because you were dealing with senior managers that you are dependent upon their approval of your projects. Excuse me. As you know, Tlingit education was the number one, beside a second one next to language for the Dauenhauers. They have written curricula for K through 12 as well as university level. It's amazing. And they were trailblazers for bilingual education, along with another couple that they befriended, Ronald Scullin and his wife Susan. And their publications and programs that they put together, capturing at that time multicultural education, bilingual education, they were the trailblazers for Alaska. And all the notes, the originals and everything are there. Today's teachers can go and take a look at it to get some more ideas for today's education. I still feel it's applicable still. It may not be electronic or digital, but the ideas are still there of how to incorporate cultural responsiveness in our schools and our teachers and with our children and students. I am very excited about the availability of this wealth of knowledge in this collection. They supported PhDs like Carrie Edwards, Lance Twitchell, James, oh gosh, him and Ishmael Hope. There are a few others too that they supported, not only for the languages and everything, but there are artists and everything that sought out their advice and their input. And I had used some of their information as well in my writing. Here's some of their, here's their first book. I'm not going to read everything, but this recording would be available. Another part of that I had provided is called the Archival Resource Guide, and it's going to be available on the website. And what it is a huge summary of all the writing and everything and what's published like this, along with other things about the Dauenhauers that will just gives the researchers and students and everything a quick overview about Richard and Nora Dauenhauer. I have these books. I always refer back to them. I'm always learning from them. It's phenomenal. This last one, Russians and Tlingit America, it's amazing. It took them 20 years, believe it or not, of gathering material from Russia, from Sergei Khan is another one that worked with them, helped translate Russian texts and everything like that. It was phenomenal, the amount of work that collaboratively worked with each other to come up with this wonderful book. And they also worked with Ray Wilson, who's the Kitsati clan leader, and many other Tlingit people. So this is really the most, in my opinion, authentic publication of Tlingit culture. As I'm speaking, Jeff Lear, along with William Geiger, the Dauenhauers had started this book, but hopefully these two men will finish this book and it'll be out in publication. I am excited. It's focusing on Raven stories, old tapes, even tapes back at Nora's father's time, and other people across Southeast Alaska. And I'm going to be just thrilled once this publication is finally available for us to remember our stories and our ancestors and who we are. Let's see, I talked about the archival collection, the finding aid. I'm doing this presentation was another, and I've done the project. I can't think of anything else from this. It was a huge project. I was kind of overwhelmed at first, but I'm proud to say that I was able to finish this. And here's a summary of what you can find in this collection. It's amazing. It's totally amazing. She talks fondly, Nora, about her family, her mother, her father, her children, her grandchildren, and even Dick. Dick wrote a lot about the grandchildren. And so it's very personal, very intimate. I feel I got to know them even more spiritually and in the heart. And it was just a tremendous project. Well, gonna teach. That's the end of the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as me presenting it. I guess, is there time for Q&A or any comments?
Yes, you have given a wonderful presentation with leaving exactly 10 minutes for Q&A. And I personally want to thank you for the work you've done, because I saw the removal of the Dauenhauer collection from their house, which was causing the side of the house to sink, and the 4 1/2 tons of their materials to the storage place where it resided for some time before donation to SHI. I have pictures of that stuff in storage, should you want to include them in your future presentations. And I thank you so much for the work that you did to get everything in place and so that the rest of the world would know what's there. Good cheese.
I see my good friend Linda Bellardi is there. Linda, do you have a comment?
Thank you, Linda. That was excellent. And you know what? One time somebody was trying to introduce me to Nora, and Nora said, I've known her since before she was born. Because Nora and my mom, you know, were contemporaries, and Nora and her family would load up us kids in the winter, and we'd sit in the back of their truck and we'd go out ice skating. And so I really appreciate you taking care of these materials, because they, you know, they would be lost. Nobody knew how to deal with it. I was with Alice when we went to look at the storeroom where we were paying storage every month, and holy moly, it was just packed, just packed. It's a good thing they didn't hire me, because I would have had no idea how to start. So goodness Cheesh, for your work, you have left some really manageable stuff for us to use. Goodness Cheesh, Linda.
Alice, I remember when I saw all those filing cabinets at the university there, and I'm going, oh my goodness, but I was able to capture those as well. Also in the collection was their papers preparing for their classes, okay? And their meetings with the departments and stuff. That's there too. Like I said, nothing was thrown away. There were meetings at SHI and everything with correspondence and stuff like that. That is all there for viewing, reviewing, and doing research. So it's not, as records management world would say, it's not sanitized. In other words, I didn't censor anything. It's all there. Anybody else curious about I think because of my master's degree program, and I did take some archival classes, and my wonderful supervisor, Emily, I was able to transfer my skills and everything, and my skills as a records manager. After a month working on this project, then I was gone. I knew exactly what needed to be done. And then also being half Tlingit and then knowing the Dauenhauers also helped me to get through this massive collection of stuff. It made me think about Alaska Corporation when I got on as their records manager. 30 years worth of corporate records that never got dealt with. And it took me over 16 years to go through that, 4 off-premise storages, and I was able to get it all indexed into a digital database to find things only by box level, not file level. But that was better than nothing than going through about 24-inch wide binders of paperwork that showed what was supposed to have been in the boxes. Yeah. So I enjoyed this. I would love to do another dear elder that had passed on. Oh my goodness. He's there at UAS. And Kathy Ruddy had done the collection. I'm embarrassed not remembering his name. It must be all this white hair. Help me, Alice. You know who I'm talking about.
I'm with your white hair.
He's Daishi Tan, and you have his collection.
George. Cyril George.
Cyril George. Yeah, if you want somebody to do this work, I'll be glad to do so.
Anyone else have any questions or comments, Barbara?
All of the information you're sharing, could we access on through database?
I couldn't hear her question, Alice. Could you repeat it for me?
Could they access the items through a database? So are each of the items available online?
No. You go to the SHI archival database, do your search, submit a research request to the archivist, Emily, and she can pull it out, and you can make an appointment to SHI to take a look at the information. Or you can, if you're not able to do that, they do offer to be able to copy, but it all depends on the volume and how much it will cost. Does that help?
Yes, thanks.
So there is a finding aid. You can find what is there, but make an appointment to actually see it. Or you might be able to, communicate another
Alice, are
ability
you
to access.
familiar with that?
Uh,
Are you familiar with the SHI archive database? I guess I could have shown that in my presentation, huh?
Well, I think that I've learned more about it today than I previously knew, but it makes me think of a large collection of Native American work at another archive that required you to know exactly what item you wanted to see, but there was no finding aid and it hadn't been cataloged, so there was no way to know what articles were there. So you couldn't see anything. So, geez.
Well, Alice, I hope you nose around in there and see if you can find stuff that you've been curious about the Dauenhauers.
I will.
Well, I guess if nobody else had any comments, questions, or anything, I guess this is the end, huh? Oh, somebody raised their hand.
What can I just sit here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I worked with the Dauenhauers for about 3 years as a research assistant in the 90s, and I left my thesis at SHI, and I typed in my name on Google, that I wrote my thesis under Susan Georgina Stevens, and it only pulled up the University of Saskatchewan, so they obviously didn't put my thesis on there.
Oh my God.
And so, anyway, my thesis was on the psychotherapeutic effects of American Indian traditions, such as singing, drumming, dancing, and storytelling. But it was, I missed your whole presentation, but I'll get to watch it listen to it on tape or the video, because I was selling clothes out there, but I'm pleased to meet you and see you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, she wants to say something.
I
Another
am
comment?
Drew Hawk, and I'm from Cape Town, West Lady, and I got to spend a glorious time with Nora as she was passing, because I know the family. And I sat here and cried watching all this, because they're great people.
Yeah.
Yes, they
Yeah,
were.
because I took care of the family a week after, a little bit longer than that. And I stayed up there at their house, and they picked me up every day and took me home when I couldn't walk anymore. But it is a great presentation, and
Thank you.
So once again, thank you for your care, and thank you for bringing into the future this wonderful work.
And my understanding, there will be two, this is recorded and hopefully it will be available on YouTube. But my other presentation that I had done, that I had pre-recorded, is also available in YouTube. Also, the State of Alaska Library had posted my presentation, and it was presented at their conference earlier this year. So I urge you, everybody, get the word out. Get the word out about the Dauenhauers, and that the information is available online, and that there's ways to get your hands on it. So thank you for your time.
Before you sign off, can I say one more thing? Because I just thought of it. Because there's an elder here that helped me as I was doing the research to help them finish Hakusti, 50 Tlingit elders. And no, it was named something else. But anyway, it was in Tlingit. It's out of print now, but Harriet Belisle wrote me about Chester Worthington, who was one of the founders of the A&B. Otherwise, we couldn't have included him in the book. But she's sitting right here. Harriet, can you wave at her?
Oh, good teach.
Yeah.
I need to also mention that their focus was beyond Tlingit. They had They used elders in Ketchikan all over in Southeast. Thank you for reminding me. Also, Haida. Loads of information on the Haida language. They wanted to come up with publications for that. Also, too, they had research and has some information on the Tsimshian language. So that's the order, and there's something for everybody in this wonderful collection.
Can I just add that you're saying that they did research, they also did a lot of research in the Yukon, in Teslan, with a lot of the elders.
Yeah. Keofne came up with other people and did that recording, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're out of time now. I have to be
Okay.
the moderator. Gunnar Johanna.